All right, hello and welcome to the Last Better Moments live webinar before our summer break. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Laura Graff and I'm the Marketing and Communications Manager of Better Moments. I'm tonight's host and the one managing the chat and Q&A tool. First of all, I would like to encourage you to tell us from where you're all joining tonight, because usually we have people from California to Singapore, so it's always quite interesting. You can use the chat to let us know and to say hi to everybody else. If any questions should arise during the webinar, please use the Q&A tool, as it helps me to keep an overview, because the questions keep to getting lost in the chat. So please use the Q&A tool. We will address some of your questions during the presentation if it makes sense, and otherwise we will have a Q&A session at the end. So that's it for the organizational part. Let's talk about tonight's webinar. It will be about the land of the thunder dragon in Bhutan, a country Sisse Brimberg describes as a place, and I quote, much like Tibet 60 years ago, unspoiled and innocent with a strong band of autonomy and dignity, the last real kingdom in Asia. The small country sandwiched between India and Tibet has only 760,000 inhabitants and is known for its gross national happiness index, a philosophy that guides the government of Bhutan. There's also an incredible biodiversity, unique cultural heritage, and about 2,000 temples and monasteries that make it a special place worth exploring. Our expert tonight will tell us more about all of that. Danish photographer Sisse Brimberg has spent more than 3 decades photographing stories for National Geographic, and she will lead this year's Bhutan workshop from the 28th of October to the 4th of November. And since this will be already our 3rd mutual workshop there, you can be sure that Sisse will take you to the best places for photography. But I suggest that we let her tell us herself. And yeah, let's dive right into it. Sisse, welcome, and thanks for taking the time to introduce us to this fantastic country.
You are most welcome, and welcome everybody. So as Laura said, I am Sisse Brimberg. I'm a photographer. I've been a photographer for many years. As I just wrote in some kind of questionnaire, they asked me for my age, and I kind of got into a little bit of a tiffy and I wrote mature. So guess what? I am mature. I have been doing photography since I was 17. I have had the great experience of working together with National Geographic for many, many years. And I still do. I work together with expeditions, but I also work together with Better Moments. And for Better Moments, I have been twice in Bhutan. And the pictures that I'm going to show this evening are all from those 2 trips. I have a question, Laura.
Yeah.
Laura. You see my screen just straight on. You don't have me and you and Christian up on top, do you?
That's actually everybody's unique setting.
Okay, so it's
so
just
everybody can decide that. Yeah.
So and my green banner is not in the picture either. There's just standing Bhutan, land of the thunder dragon, which is the truth. It is, of course, I know Bhutan has a really, really great reputation for good reasons. It is a marvelous country to go and visit. And yeah, it may be like Tibet 50 years ago. But it's also a group of very, very friendly people. And of course, the happiness index is fairly high, perhaps not as high as Denmark. What do I know? And quite frankly, I would like to get a meter so I can measure my happiness. But they have, of course, very fine ways of doing that. So they are the happiest people on earth, supposedly. Let's look at the pictures, and here right away, this was one of the pictures that I became very fond of, and it grew out of thinking, oh yeah, so they're gonna have some kind of a dance demonstration on a field for us. because this was all for the people that were attending the workshop, and those kind of pictures have a tendency of being a little flat. But it turned out that the weather was incredible. You can see that beautiful sunlight on the person in the foreground and how it goes into shade behind it. It became just a really lovely moment, and we all were together taking these pictures. And that's one thing that is going to go through all the photography here, is that especially with the second group, we had an amazing flow in our workshop. Everybody respected each other's work. Nobody stepped in front of anyone else. We all supported each other in the work and enjoyed each other's triumphs as we were creating pictures. This was one of my favorite shots. Came one evening in Thimphu, that is the capital of Bhutan, and that is another beautiful thing about Bhutan. You can go everywhere, and you can go there in the evening. You never feel threatened by anything. Just never think about, oh my gosh, is this really safe to go here? It's safe. It is an extremely safe country. And I went to this little temple in the evening, and then I was photographing people going around and pushing the prayer mills. And this little guy had been doing just that. And I just was at one point, and for some reason, he certainly stopped, took that pose, looked at me, and I took the picture. We did not have any other interaction with each other. And then he went on doing his prayers. And I thought that was really lovely. I love also pictures where people are expressing themselves without you have to encourage them. Now here, okay. I thought it was frozen, the picture. A totally different thing, because we know they are Buddhists, and not very many Buddhists eat a lot of meat, but there is meat out there. There's meat for our dinners if you so prefer. And here, this is the butcher's store in Paro City, and he had for some reason left the stall, and here were all these things so wonderfully displayed in patterns. I thought it was really beautiful. Took the shots. Never met the butcher, and I also find it's for me a very pleasing image. It's not easy to take pleasing images of meat, and I think all the people there are vegetarians would definitely also agree to that. And in Thimphu at the market, now I have already touched upon that this is the country in the world that has the highest index of happiness, or their index is, they are just the happiest country in the world. Even happiest countries do not have all that happy moments all the time. This woman sitting and nursing her one child, where the older brother is begging for attention, and she is really tired. So it just, to me, a very descriptive, beautiful moment of everyday life in the market in Thimphu. And out in the countryside, you get used to that. When you can ask people, can I come in and see such and such? And this was a place also. I knocked on the door, A lot of the people from the workshop were doing something else, and I, for some reason, had gotten myself involved in this. And I just said, can I see your kitchen? And this is the kitchen they showed me. And this is a very, very typical Bhutanese kitchen. And I just thought I had landed in heaven with all these fantastic colors and the patterns from all the cooking pots. And really, it gave me a great sense of place. And this is something that goes on in the fall. When we will be there, it's a rice harvest, and it makes for terrific pictures all the time, all over the places. The activity in the fields are great at the time when we go out to Bhutan. And just to show you, there's beauty in even small things. This is the view from the market in Thimphu, and just the beautiful colors, pastel colors of roses. And I love going to pool halls. And I went in Paro, in the city of Paro, and here was this little girl laying and taking her afternoon nap in the pool hall. I think her mom worked there, and she had been placed under the window. And when you get into situations like that, it is very important that you respect people, and taking pictures of children, you need to have people's consent about that. And so I asked her mother in, I think, sign language, if it was all right. I was taking a picture of her child, and she gave her consent. But look, I mean, look at that fantastic light that's hitting her, right? As she's laying so peacefully. And then I love the patterns of the different blankets. When we go there, it's not the season for festivals, but we will still have the opportunity, if we are lucky, we have the opportunity to find small festivals or celebrations in the countryside. They're easy to spot from the road. There will be cars there, and you can see people milling in and out. And again, they will welcome you in. This is the kitchen for this little celebration, and the monk is cooking some kind of food, and this woman is carrying it out to some of the participants. And then, of course, it really helped that the whole kitchen was so full of smoke that the rays of light are really easy to see in the picture, and it kind of emphasized the monk as he's standing there watching his pots.
Sisse, can I ask, when you say celebrations, what kind of celebrations is it? Is it like related to Buddhism?
You know, I really would not know that, but there were an extremely large amount of monks there at the time, so I could think it was a religious festival that they were having, but I cannot answer that.
Okay.
Yeah. So a monk leaving the area with the prayer mills, where I used the thing about the white wall to my advantage, and I knew that when I was taking the picture. It's always a matter of finding ways that you can separate your subject from the background, and I knew with the white wall that it would be easy to read this man's whole figure. And also another thing that I have mentioned before, everything that has something to do with white brings your eye goes straight to it, and it's really an easy tool. It's not a trick, it's a tool on how to create better imagery. And that's, of course, what we would do when we go out there, because the whole thing about it is about the group and how we will be together and how we will like learn from each other, learn from me also. I think that will be pretty damn good. But also from each other, and learn from each other's mistakes too. It's really good. And I try to have as much an active group going in the evening. And I would also say, should you be signing up for it, I will definitely recommend something totally tech talk, but that you download if you don't have it on your phone, WhatsApp, because we use in the hotels to send messages to each other, like, let's meet in 5 minutes in the hall, or in wherever. Then you send that out with WhatsApp instead of having to phone each room, or, oh, have you seen Peter yet? You know, no, I don't know where he's. Oh, he's probably sleeping. No, but it helps with holding the group together, so nobody's missing out on the activities that are going on. And again, outside Thimphu, we will see it. This is one of the biggest Buddha figures in the world. It is not very old, and it is there looking down over all the people that go and visit it and worship. And it's pretty impressive all over the place there. And
is it a whole Buddha, or is it just the upper top?
It is the whole figure.
Okay.
He's sitting in lotus position.
Okay.
Yeah. But because of my perspective, I'm standing way under and shooting up over all those staircases. Then you cannot see the lower part of his body. If you look at the building in the foreground, you can see that my camera standpoint is under the roof, shooting up towards. So it's a biggie.
Okay.
I don't know exactly where it is, but it is one of the biggest in the world, and it's not very old. And then underneath it, there is also around 100,000 small Buddha, Shiva statues. I'm not totally up on my Buddhist wisdom here. Another thing that would be very easy for us to experience is the national sport, and that is archery. And this is the targets. Here you can see some of them have holes in them. They were just stacked there, standing and waiting to be used. So just to remember these things about taking little detailed pictures too. This is not a picture that's going to go into world history, but it has nice colors. And here we are out experiencing the people there are out shooting with a bow and arrow. And of course, the shadow comes from his hand as he is trying to look at the target. And the female, both the male, you can go back there, and you can see male and female are most often dressed in a kind of a national accepted outfit. I can't say it's a national costume, but it's an outfit, and the men's outfit is a go, and the female is a kira, and we get a picture of the kira here. This is a kira, that's a bottom part. It goes all the way down to the ankle, but they are like beautiful colors in it. And I can also tell you that it was really deadly light outside. So it's like, oh yes, they are in the shadow. Oh, thank goodness. And then I could take pictures of just the colors, just make a little kind of abstract with colors. And the monks always cooking, always taking care of each other. You know, it is a kind of a welfare system that they have when they have the little boys joining the monasteries. It is because their parents can not breastfeed them at home. Then they get sent to the monastery. So there's a very big active life in the monasteries, and there are many of them. And it's beautiful. They're very friendly when you approach them. You need not to worry about anything. If you're the type to say, I get intimidated when I see them, but no, it's fine. They are approachable. And then here, this is as a pair of monks also are going to the kitchen, and fun, you know, you gotta have fun with your photography. Here, this is just looking down at the feet of the monks and walking with them, and just there's so little light that it's a long exposure, and only one thing is really in focus, sharp, and that's the heel of the one monk there. Again, did you notice what I talked about when we saw the other monk? The white. This is exactly the same execution one more time, but this is used differently, of course, and the monk is spinning the prayer mills as he is going, I think, to pray at the time there. But it has, the country has extremely wonderful, colorful architecture that you will fall in love with right away. And it's fun to photograph. And here's a close-up of the prayer mills and the wooden structure all colored. And this is a picture that tells you how it is, how a lot of these pictures come about. And look at that in the foreground. You have the class in the foreground, all those little shadows there. And then we are out photographing the rice harvest out in the fields. And then you see here, this is looking at the class. As you can see also, everybody's looking. It's funny how people sometimes have to lift up their camera to their face, almost nursing it when they think. But this is by far the best class I've ever had of any workshop anywhere. And I have given quite a few. These students here were superb. They were fun, excited, in a great mood, always ready to go and do new things. And we shared experiences. This is Evie and Al looking at their pictures. And there are always all these nerdy things about, what camera do you have? Well, Al had, of course, a Leica, and Evie, she had perhaps I don't know, is that a Canon? I think so. Colin had a Canon also. Oh, and Evie and what was that's Andre and Evie were sitting in there in the bus and chimping, as it's called, when you sit there and look at your pictures. And you learn right away never to delete in your camera. And going out in the evening, photograph in the streets. And this is in Thimphu also. And this is at the shoe cobbler's place. These two ladies found that it was really cool to have a selfie done in there, as I think they were sitting and waiting for having something repaired. And I asked, can I take a picture? Sure, just go on, do your own thing. And we went to the barber shop also. A lot of people that work in the shops are from other countries, but that it all seems to be it be okay. The only people that have a little bit of an issue are the people from Nepal. They are pretty much like second-class citizens there. But the Nepalese are great people too. And the opportunity to photograph in nighttime. Well, good. You can see my shadow. I am in there too. I love to photograph my shadow. Anytime I can get myself into a picture, it's a great fun. And standing on the rice fields as they are burning the leftover material makes for good pictures, but it can be a bit hard on the system. And again, this is just to tell you how we enjoyed each other's company. Going out in the evening at the small markets in the villages. Here you see the chili peppers, and the chili peppers are of great importance for the Bhutanese kitchen. This is one of the big structures. This is a big thong, and it is Punaka thong. And dong, I can't say it the right way, dong. And then luckily there came a little raft that fills up that empty space in the foreground of the river. But you can see how massive that structure is also when you look at the people they're walking on the lawn. And a beautiful setting. I mean, where can you otherwise find places where it's so unspoiled? And in Punaka Dong, this is looking down at a monk as he's sitting there. You can see he's actually holding a cell phone in his hand. And then again, I'm using the white bond there to band to keep it all together. And always take your camera with you, because this is taken from this window in the ladies' room in the big pass up between two valleys, between the Paro Valley and I don't remember the other valley's name. But I love photographing through screens. It makes it more mysterious and interesting, and especially in the middle of a day where you can have issues with that the light is pretty hard. Another thing that is very wonderful to do is to photograph with shallow depth of field. Open up your lens all the way so you have that just little bit of sharpness, and everything else goes unsharp, and it becomes much more like a painting. And here, one thing that gives it away, this is where it is. It, like, first of all, you can see the structure of the monastery, and then the song, and then you can see that red there's on the field, that is chili pepper that's laying on the ground, drying out there. And then you have the blue flowers that there's the same type of blue as in the sky. So it just, I encourage you to experiment nonstop. And this is out. This is a regular picture as how the chili peppers are coming off the fields and put on the ground to dry off. I was told that this is the only place where you can really put chili peppers on the ground in Bhutan, because nobody would ever dare to steal from a monastery so they can lay peacefully in the fields out there. And then there is the other thing about the betel nut, and people chew betel nut. You can find it everywhere. And then you have to use lime in your mouth too. Don't ask me exactly how you do it. But then all that white stuff that is smeared on this column in the foreground, and you can see it also in the back, that is from chewing betel nut. And then this is how it looks close up when it's just like they simply smear it everywhere. And this is how your mouth gets to look when you chew betel nut. Really, there you can't hide it from your mama, that's for sure. This is one of the monks there. And happiness, perhaps you OD it a little too much. This is outside the local bar. Two guys had obviously had one too many, and then they just laid down right there and took a little snooze. And nobody seemed to take offense over that one. And here the dogs, they're also taking a snooze. These dogs seemed very, very nice. They were just laying there in the street. And then again, I was told, because I didn't want to experience it, supposedly these creatures turn into be like vicious dogs in nighttime. So don't say hi to them. That could be one thing you should try to avoid in nighttime, the vicious dogs. And this is from one of the dzong, a big dzong outside Paro, and sorry. And this is where they all sit and wait to get marriage certificates and all kind of license and things like that. But look how amazingly beautiful it is, and the way these people are dressed is like, it's to die for. It is such a treat to be there. And here is Andre. He has made contact with this gentleman that he's taking a portrait of. And one of the kids coming out from reading the scripture out of an amazing golden door, jumping right out. And the architecture of the dzongs are just like breathtaking. And here are 4 boys. Just they had been to their lesson, and now they were sitting outside in the sun in the courtyard of the dzong. This was our guide Doji, and Doji was spectacular. Doji had never guided photographers before, and perhaps he would say never again, although I hope that he will be our guide when we get out there, because this guy would go through hell and high water for us. And here, this was a surprise. I think it was next to last day, Doji said, let's not do what we have in the program. Let's get away from it. That's after he had tried for 4 days to force the program on us, and we had kind of rejected it, always finding something really fun to photograph in the fields when he wanted to show us something that would be of great importance for tourism and so on. So now he's finally succumbed, and he said, I have asked my mother to cook us a Bhutanese meal. Let's go and visit them, my mother and father. And so we went there and we had a delightful lunch together with them. And Doji, he then was teaching us how to cook this picture may not look of so much, but this is Doji's mother's place for worshiping. And this is a place that she goes to 3 or 4 times a day, in where she makes sun salutations, and she throws herself on the floor. And that's what you can see, that kind of light ghost angel that's in the foreground in the floor. It is her devotion over at least 40 years of her life. That is manifested right there. I find it's really amazing. Sometimes amazing things do not make amazing pictures, but it is still, to me, I have never seen anything like it. And then in Doji's parents' private worshiping place, one of their friends were coming, and he was reading the scripture, and when we got in there, he was sitting there in this most beautiful light, a light that, you know, you just hope for, but you don't always get it. And there he was sitting and just doing his reading, and we asked him politely if we could take pictures of him, and he had no qualms with that. So it was definitely a delightful day at Doji's parents' place. And again, another place where I photographed little children. I've always photographed little children if I can, if I get the permission of the parents. Then I love to do it. Otherwise, I really don't do much of it.
And may I ask, Sisse,
yeah,
if you compare it to other countries, are people in Bhutan more open to getting their portrait taken?
Yes. I definitely think so. They're very, very forthcoming, very friendly, and I think when you are enclosed in situations and so on, I think you need to ask them if it's all right to take pictures, and definitely if you're in private area, you need to. But they are very accommodating. It is not like you walk away like saying to yourself, "I hate rejection," because I do hate rejection. But you don't get that, and if you come with an open mind and have you only have good things in mind with taking these photographs, they can feel that too. So this is a monk, and this is like a nice portrait of him there. But this is a picture that I really like of him. It's one more time. This is the 3rd time I have done the same thing. Mainly put white behind the person, and you see them so much better. Your eye. Did you notice when this picture came up how fast your eye went right to his face? Let's just try to see. Look there, nice. And then there, it's right away you look in on him like that. So you can use that trick too. Was it, I said last time, it wasn't a trick, it was knowledge, and it was a tool. Yeah. And looking in over the rice fields, and then they have their flags in the foreground. They're planted many different places. I have yet to find out why they're planted where. And in Thimphu, there is also this very, very famous policeman that directs traffic. Now, traffic, there is not that much of it in Bhutan altogether. Bhutan has a very fine track record about the environment and the zero emission, I think, or they have net negative greenhouse emissions. And there is very little pollution altogether in the country, which again makes it easier to take pictures. And a street scene of a boy coming out from the local bar. Street scene, beautiful, beautiful colors, great light. It's in the late evening.
I like his hat, I have to say.
Yeah, his hat is pretty good. It's a German hat.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought so too. There's the Adler.
I wonder where he got that from.
I don't know where he got it from. Probably from a tourist that came visiting. Who knows? But it looks good. And the Nepalese workers in the streets. All good. I talked about that there was almost no pollution, and we see big smoke coming up here from the tar. And again, shooting through screens. This is through the prayer flag, evening after sunset in Paro. And again, not everybody is just exactly happy, but she was not unfriendly. She was just not exactly in a great mood. And this is Doji's brother. I hope to get to know his whole family over the years. That would be good. And he's just using his prayer shawl as he's putting it on before he's going to the zone. And a little girl that was in a school learning to draw. She was sitting outside. And this is again up in the mountains, and this is also kind of a mystery picture, looking out over the mountains, and it's taken through a window with a lot of condensation on it, so that's what makes it look so different. And the monks are also happy and always kind of in a good mood and trying to tease each other, or you can stop them and try to take a portrait of them going to prayer. And this is to give you again an impression of the architecture of the zone. And there are the prayer flags. Prayer flags are everywhere. And just like you find them, you can use them to also shoot through this kind of a gauze material. So you can get some really cool shots that way. And here, this is just the backlit. And this is the Bhutanese language, or the alphabet. It is related to Sanskrit. And going up to Tiger's Nest. This was at the second trip, and that was amazingly cold. It was -8 degrees that morning centigrade. So that will be around, what would it be? Around 20 Fahrenheit. It was something where you really raced up the hill in the start to get up in the sunshine and get up where it was a little warmer. These are the horses that you can rent as to carry you up parts of the way. And again, Doji standing in the late evening light at Tiger's Nest. There is one of the most spectacular, beautiful buildings here, seen here in the lower corner. And this is pretty much what I have to show you. Thank you for your patience, and thank you for looking and thinking about what I have been showing you. And Now it'd be really wonderful if you also had some questions.
Yeah, I give you guys some time to put your questions in the Q&A tool. So then I'll ask Sisse about it. But yeah, thanks, Sisse. And I have to say, Bhutan has definitely climbed up further on my travel wish list. And I really hope that we'll be able to travel with you later this year. And yeah, we already got some questions about how you can actually join the workshop. So you can just go to our website on www.bettermoments.com, and there's a registration form, and there you can sign up for the workshop. Yeah, like I said, it will be from the 28th of October to 4th of November, which actually is the best time of the year, as the skies are usually clear and temperatures are pleasant, I guess. Apart from those -8 degrees morning.
Yeah, that's right. But that was also very early in the morning.
And yeah, we should probably quickly address the COVID issue, because I mean, we're still in a global pandemic, but Bhutan is actually following a strict virus eradication policy and is planning on having 80% of the population fully vaccinated until the end of June. And Bhutan will probably reopen for tourism September, October. So we would actually be one of the first ones to visit. Yeah, and if you're thinking about joining the workshop, we have our no risk policy, so you will get a refund of your payment should we not be able to travel because of COVID-19. So you're safe there. Okay, but yeah, if you have any questions, now is the time to ask.
Can you see my picture right now?
Yes, I do.
God, okay, then it requires, it was a mistake because it was not meant to be shown. I cannot get back to my black slide. So there you go. Okay, this is better. But in Bhutan, the people of Bhutan has another relationship to phallus imagery than a lot of other places in the world, and they pretty much just painted on walls. And there is a fertility city in Bhutan that picture came from. Mm-hmm. And there you see perhaps a result in the foreground. Who knows? So let's see here. Yeah, I can go here. Should I go to that?
But yeah, I have to say it was really nice to see like some insights from Doji's family home.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing to be able to truly get invited into a home, and to a home where you got to experience their hospitality. Like they started out with serving us tea with yak milk, and then we looked at some of the bows and arrows that the family owned for going to the competitions, and it was unusual. It was pretty amazing. Later on that day also, he took us to a Bhutanese bath. Mm-hmm. Was a lot of fun too. It was amazing. I didn't take any good pictures from there, but it's like they have these big wooden bathtubs, and the water gets heated by super hot stones that they put in a little reservoir outside on the other side of the wall of where you are, and then you hear them plopping down these big boulders, and and the water gets warmer, and then they have a lot of all kind of green stuff, like something like peppermint or fern and so on. So it's definitely a thing to experience.
Yeah, I mean, I met I think 3 people in total who were with you on the last workshop. That was Dave and Chris. I met them on the Scotland workshop 2 years ago, and they're actually here today. So hi to California. And I also met Andre, not too long ago, like 2 weeks ago in Switzerland, and like this experience is what they all talked about. So it definitely was memorable.
And so also with Antonia, that she's from Hong Kong, and for all these people that know that the Bhutan workshop that they have had were top on their list.
Nice. Okay, so we got a few questions. So there's Marlene from Switzerland, and she asked, how fit do you have to be to participate in the workshop? Are there any longer hikes?
There is that one long hike up to Tiger's Nest, and from the bottom of where you park the car and up to the first stop, that's midway. You can hire a horse or a mule to and then of course it has a handler, a person who handles it all the way up to this point, and that is a restaurant and a place where you can get snacks and so on, and perhaps a pit stop. So that's okay. Then you can make up your mind if you want to go from there up to Tiger's Nest, and you can walk in your own speed, or you can find somebody who is perhaps in the class who is doing the hike in the same speed as you are, and then get up in a kind of easy way. I would say for sure you can get halfway up. That is not a problem. The second part, it's a hike. But you think about how many people have been up there and seeing that temple.
Yeah.
And so think about how many have been fit enough to do that.
Yeah, we got everyone up so far. All right, then we have a question from Marco from Germany, and he says, thank you for sharing your pictures with us. Can you describe your process of taking pictures? What do you look for, and how would you describe your style?
Yep. Good question. For this is in the category mostly of street photography and documentary photography, and true that I have some fairly some rules I obey by, and most of them are I don't change reality from what it is. If I see somebody who is washing clothes in one light situation, I don't drag them half mile down the road to get to another situation to do the same thing. I find that is not the right thing to do for documentary photography. If it's like for portrait photography, you can definitely do whatever you please. And with portrait photography, then I think it's very apparent in the picture that there has been some type of interaction between the person with the camera and the person in front of the camera. True that, I have no qualms in setting people close to the light, get to the window light or whatever it is. It's fine with me. Just if it is reality, I don't start to bend reality to my liking, and I often take a lot of pictures of people in the streets where they will actually never know that I did it. And it's not because I want to be creepy or any such thing. I just I just like that minimal amount of interaction, and I get some very interesting pictures out of it. I have a portfolio of pictures that I call coincidental portraits, and they have come about, all of them like that, of people in front of my camera that in a split second gives a part of their personality away to me and my camera, and I think that is the type of photography I like to do very best. And believe me, you don't get many pictures like that. I think perhaps I have 10 pictures in my portfolio at the most. I look through all my photographs all the time to see if I've overlooked something. Oh, that's not true. But if I see something, it's like, oh my gosh, that could be going into the portfolio about the coincidental portraits. So then I think just my title as such is like I'm a documentary fine art photographer. That gives away a little bit also about what style I am using. I hope this answers your question.
I hope so too, Marco. There's another question from Malshri, I hope I pronounced the name correctly, from India. She's asking, what kind of camera do you recommend to take?
Question. That's a very good question. The question is, what kind of camera feels right for you? What kind of camera feels good in your hands? What kind of camera is it like a big DSLR? Is that what feels good in your hands? I mean, the best thing is to go and try out the cameras if you're going to buy a camera. You should probably ask yourself, do I want a camera with a mirror or a mirrorless camera? I photograph with the Sonys. I have several different ones, and of course I have the Alpha 7 IV. And for me, it's a matter of your ergonomics, about how does it work for my fingers, because it has to be like an extension of my thoughts and my thought process about photography, and I don't have time to fiddle around and, oh my goodness, you know what, how I could do. So no, it has to work, and you have to get used to it, and it has to be feeling good in your hands. It has to be your tool. So keep in mind what type. Mirror, like a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. That's the two first questions. Then the second is, then you go and you try out the difference between the Nikon and the Canon. I can tell you, in reality, these two cameras are both very, very fine cameras. So it's you can handle situations with both of them. So it all comes down to, how does it feel? That's it. That's what I would do.
And something along those lines, another question is, what is your favorite lens to take, as the workshop is a mixture of landscape, street and portrait photography?
Yeah, I love challenges. And I love when I have the opportunity, I love to photograph with a fixed lens. I want a fixed lens, a fairly short fixed lens, like a 24 fixed lens, no zoom, no nothing. The zoom is in my legs, okay? And zoom is also in the composition. And I have done it many times where I have gone through assignments and only used one lens and fixed lens. And I find it's delightful. It's really fun to do. So then comes, of course, a little extra thing. How about this one? Okay. My camera, my phone, my iPhone. Last time I was in Antarctica, the last assignment I did before the lockdown, I made it home, right? Like in the tail end of things. But, and I was down there for 2 expeditions. And on the second expedition, I said, I don't want to photograph with this camera anymore. I'm really sick and tired of it. I want to photograph with my iPhone. And I did it. I did it all the way through. And I loved it. And I got some super good pictures out of it. I really thought that was fun. So I like to do that. I like little challenges, give myself challenges. Like today I can only photograph with.
Well, they are pretty decent cameras these days.
Oh, they are good. I love them, and especially the 11 is really good. That's a beautiful camera, and some of the accessories that you get for it are good too. So yeah.
Okay, then one more question. Since we will be traveling to Bhutan at the end of October, beginning of November, in your opinion, what is the most intriguing about this time of the year for photographers? You already mentioned the rice fields, but maybe there's something else.
Yeah, well, it's a good crisp time of the year. It doesn't get too stinky hot. Those are some of the pluses with it. And then I would have to say also, I have only been there in October, November, the times I've been there. So do I know how it is in March? No, I don't. But I know it's a wonderful time of the year to go there.
Yeah, I think it's also like the most popular time. And saying that, it's only, I read before that it's only 70,000 visas that get issued yearly. So it's not a lot of tourists that go to Bhutan.
It's a very controlled way of navigating tourism. Mm-hmm. The Bhutanese government has this totally under control. There is no what can you say? It doesn't get out of control. You have to go there. It seems a little bit rigid at that part of it, but as you heard, like Doji had no problems changing all his plans and throwing the plans out of the window and do something totally different. So that's not it, but they just pretty much have learned their lesson with looking to Nepal and seeing what happened in Nepal. Because Nepal is a lovely country. I've been there many times, but it sure has taken its beating from all the tourists that have come to the place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also India and Thailand.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They are like millions of tourists, so 70,000 is not that much.
Yeah. So better have a little bit of control of how many people there can go in there. And here's the tip of the day, the tip of the evening. When you get on board the plane, if you're coming from India, wherever the plane is coming from, it is best to sit in the left-hand side of the plane, because that's often when you're going up to Bhutan, because Mount Everest, it will be on the left-hand side, and that is pretty spectacular.
I can imagine. Well, I guess that's a good tip to end the evening with, because we've. Pardon?
A window seat, please.
Yeah, of course. Or just scrabble over your seat neighbor, whatever. Worth it, probably. Okay, so there are no more questions. So, and we have reached the end of our 1 hour. So, yeah, Sisse, again, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your stories and images from Bhutan. Like we said before, you can find more information about Bhutan on our website, bettermoments.com. Remember our no-risk policy, which means that you will receive a full refund on the workshop price if we have to cancel the trip due to coronavirus. So there's no risk in booking. If you want to make sure that you won't miss out on our next webinar after the summer break, subscribe to our newsletter. And this you can also do on our website. Yeah, that's all from us for tonight. Thank you so much for joining, and we hope to see you again next time.